The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is freezing child care payments to Minnesota while they investigate fraud here. That works out to about $185 million a year. Now, the department is demanding that Governor Walz's office conduct a comprehensive audit of child care centers that are under investigation. And this all comes from a series of videos posted by YouTuber Nick Shirley, who claimed to have uncovered more than $100 million in fraud at 10 different facilities. Now, we're going to have more on that here in just a little bit, but the State Department of Children, Youth, and Families has launched its own investigation and says that they have found no evidence of fraud. Now, in a statement posted on social media, Governor Walz says that this is Trump's long game, referring to President Trump, obviously, and we've spent years cracking down on fraudsters. It's a serious issue, but this has all been his plan all along. He's politicizing the issue to defund programs that help Minnesotans. Again, that statement from Governor Walz on social media. Now, Rob Olson is covering Health and Human Services funding today for us, and he joins us now. Rob, this is going to play out in a lot of different stages today. In fact, we're expected to hear from a number of providers yet this afternoon, right? And how this is going to affect them.
Yeah, and I'll be heading to, there's a 2:30 news conference at the state capitol outside the House chambers with Isaiah. That's a community activist group of faith leaders, et cetera. There'll also be in attendance child care providers, parents as well, and the co-chair of the House Children and Families Committee. And what they want to talk about there is the impact that this has on people who are providing legitimate child care. You know, that while there's a fraud investigation going on, by just stopping all payments, that this affects, you know, any unlimited number of child cares that are doing things on the up and up, and that has an immediate impact. And part of the order that came from Health and Human Services yesterday is requiring justification, receipt, or photo evidence before they make a reimbursement payment for any of this child care. You know, which seems like, okay, that seems like that would be something that would be good to have that evidence. And I think what you'll hear from some of these child care providers is that in you know, practicality terms, in, you know, in real world day-to-day terms, that becomes a barrier for them to actually, you know, it's just a lot more paperwork and bureaucracy. Again, protecting federal funding that is going to help these programs. But it'll be interesting to see exactly what they say. You know, what does this look like in real world terms to try to meet these standards? Is that something that you're able to do on a daily or weekly basis? And what other solutions could there be in terms of safeguards? If you think that there need to be, you know, more safeguards in place, what are the suggestions for something that can be workable, practical, do its job, without becoming a barrier that some of these folks say they may not be able to overcome?
Yeah.
I think that becomes the balancing act with all of this.
And that's, you know, that's the classic tension that always takes place, right? And that you have, ironically, Chamber of Commerce, businesses, Republicans, who will raise their hand and say, hey, look, we have to lighten regulation on our businesses so that they can create product and create the services that are so essential to our economy. But yet trying to clamp down on fraud like this too creates more layers of oversight and regulation that these small businesses are going to have to provide now in order to get that funding to come through.
Yeah, and you know, it kind of reminds me of, you know, dealing with your, say, your health insurance company. Like my family had an issue that we're dealing with now, where they said this will be covered, maybe in part, or, you know, and now they're saying, no, that's not covered. We're like, well, no, wait, you said it would be covered. We're like, well, no, it's denied. Well, that's not what you said 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And now we have to provide, it's just like you go through spending a lot of time providing documentation. And again, insurance companies want to protect themselves against fraudulent claims made by customers. And so they require a lot of strict standards. We all get that. We don't want fraud in our insurance companies either, because that all drives up our premiums. But sometimes it just becomes, it seems like it becomes a little bit not practical or feasible.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's the balancing issue here. And that's what you're going to hear about, that safeguards need to be put in place. But then again, if you've got people that can't keep their doors open, who are doing a legitimate business that rely on these funds, then that's an issue too. It's a tough one.
I think the more immediate issue that we're going to likely hear from this afternoon is that all of these providers, and let's face it, a lot of these, if not the vast majority of them, are small businesses, sole proprietorships, the margins are not great, right? They're barely getting by, and to face the prospect of losing out on this funding flow through from the federal government, it puts a lot of them at risk of perhaps folding, and I'm sure we're probably going to hear a lot about that this afternoon and in the days ahead.
And then it becomes, what works as a solution that can protect from fraud. And again, there's still ongoing investigations, and there have been for years, about what is the level of fraud that has been occurring here. What's been talked about in the past couple of days, there's not any solid evidence there. There's a lot of suspicion, there's a lot of accusation, and they're still kind of waiting to see, okay, well, what's the reality here? And how do you do something that can realistically and quickly detect these suspected fraudulent activities while not impacting the people who are relying on this because they are providing, say, childcare to low-income families, and they're legitimately doing it, but they don't have a big bank account that they can just roll on. I mean, they're depending on that. It's a tough one.
And I'm also thinking of the potential ripple effect here too, that if we have daycares, childcare services that are going to close down because of this, the economic impact of parents not able to go to work because they have nowhere to take their kids, and then other businesses suffering because workers aren't coming through the front door. So it's a tough issue. It really is, and it's that tension of trying to put up the gates to prevent any kind of fraud from happening, because no one wants our tax dollars going to waste. But yet we want a functional system too. So
so we'll see what they say here about, obviously you're gonna hear them saying that this is just immediately suspend all payments to everybody, that this hurts them. We'll see if they have any ideas for solutions, any ideas for what kind of time frame that some of the legitimate providers can survive here with this cut off. So a lot more to come later.
Yep, for sure. Rob Olson, thank you for your time here this afternoon. I appreciate it. Okay, let's get back to those viral videos that have really been sparking all of this to begin with, and the federal government's interest now in detecting possible fraud at these daycares. House Speaker and Republican gubernatorial candidate Lisa Demuth says that her caucus steered YouTube creator Nick Shirley to daycare sites across the state. And the admission is a bit of a revealing wrinkle now in the development over how Shirley ended up at these sites. Again, the state has said that they have found no evidence of fraud at these daycare centers yet. The Minnesota DFL released a statement calling Republicans teaming up with a YouTuber a new low. That's their quote. And the statement goes on to say that if Demuth was serious about rooting out fraud, she would be working with law enforcement and letting the facts lead. So many different layers to this story.